had not been found by the dogs. Still another man said a runaway needed to take a blanket because as you went north it got colder, especially at night, even in the summer, and you needed to find a pair of boots that would fit you. Lucy had tried on her mother's boots, the ones she used in the winter, and they fit. Her mother would find another pair, she was sure. The hard thing was the Underground Railroad. They had all heard about it. They'd even heard the masters damning it. Lucy had long understood that it wasn't actually underground and wasn't even a railroad. It was just people, white and black, who helped you escape, who fed you, hid you in safe houses, and moved you, sometimes by night, sometimes under a load of hay or whatever they had that would cover you. The problem was, you couldn't always tell which ones were real railroaders and which ones were slave catchers posing as railroaders. The slaves who came back weren't much help about how to tell the difference because most had guessed wrong. Lucy wasn't too worried about it. She had not only the optimism of youth, but a secret that she thought would surely help her. Tonight was the night. Over the past few days, she had dug a deep hole in the woods where she could bury her tiny stash of things that might carry her smell. For weeks before that, she had foraged and dug for mushrooms in the woods, and so no one seemed to pay much mind to her foraging and digging earlier that day. As she left, she planned to take the now too small shift she had secretly saved from last year's allotment, her only extra piece of clothing, along with her shoes, and bury them in the hole. That way the dogs couldn't take her smell from anything left behind. She would take the blanket she slept in with her. She had also saved up small pieces of smoked meat, so that she had enough, she hoped, to sustain her for a few days until she could locate the railroad. She dropped the meat into a small cloth bag and hung it from a string tied around her waist, hidden under her shift. Her mother had long ago fallen asleep, and the moon had set. Even better, it was cloudy, and there was no starlight. Lucy put on her mother's boots, stepped outside the cabin, and looked toward the woods. As she started to move, Ezekiel Goshorn appeared in front of her, seemingly out of nowhere, along with two of his sons, and said, "Going somewhere, Lucy?" "I'm just standing here." "Hold out your arms." "Why?" "Hold out your arms." She hesitated, but finally did as he asked, and one of his sons, the one called Amasa, clamped a pair of manacles around her wrists. "We've been watching you dig in the woods," he said. "Planning a trip, perhaps?" Lucy didn't answer. "Well, we have a little trip to St. Louis planned for you instead." As Ezekiel pushed her along, she turned to see if her mother had been awakened by the noise. If she hadn't come out of the cabin. Probably afraid. Lucy had been only 4 the first time she'd seen Ezekiel Goshorn flog her mother, and that was not the last time she'd been forced to stand there and hear her scream. 2. They had moved her to a waiting wagon, which was enclosed by wooden slats, with crude benches built in along each side. A gate hung open at the foot. Lanterns on the 4 corners cast a ghostly light. As Lucy stood at the bottom of the wagon, Goshorn pulled her shift up and held it above her head. "Perhaps I should keep you after all," he said. "You'll be ripe soon." He paused, as if thinking it over. "But I need the money, and you'll bring a right fine price." She held her breath, hoping he wouldn't notice the bag strung around her waist. She heard Amasa say, "I wish you'd keep her, father." "You can sow your oats elsewhere," Goshorn said. He dropped the shift and stared into Lucy's eyes, trying, she thought, to make her avert her gaze. She stared back and tried to fix his ugly face in her memory. "Get in the wagon," Goshorn said. She climbed in and saw that there were 6 other Negroes already sitting on the benches, each of them manacled, the manacles tied by rope to railings atop the slats. They all appeared to be asleep. 2 white men were also dozing on the benches. She assumed they were guards of some kind. At the foot of the wagon, Goshorn was talking to a man who handed him a sheaf of papers. Goshorn looked through them and said, "This is a sale on consignment, right?" "That's right, Zeke. You keep title to her until I actually sell her. That's when you get your money. If she doesn't sell, I bring her back." "She'll sell," Goshorn said. Lucy didn't understand the fancy words, but she did understand that they were talking.